Hi and welcome back to Tech Tip Friday. I'm Kurt Stahle, that plastics guy, and I'm bringing you a tech tip that you could take to the shop floor with you today. So last week I did a Tech Tip Friday talking about the differences between TPE and TPV. And while the differences on the surface may seem rather subtle, it's a world of difference in terms of processing and real-world applications. So I thought this week I would zone in a little bit on TPV and tell you some of the things that I know about that product family. So TPV was really born out of a necessity to compete with compounded PVC. And PVC, by the way, is not just door frame material. That's rigid PVC, but flexible PVC, well, a lot can be done with it in compounding to alter its characteristics, its stiffness, how it bonds to other materials, for example. And I sold a very sophisticated line of compounded PVC for years when I worked for A. Schulman. And part of the interesting thing with this product line, they could control gloss. That's not always very easy to do with flexible PVC. They had it alloyed with rubber for a weather stripping grade. It was not perhaps the cheapest product available, but it performed more than admirably, not only for its time, but it would still hold up very well today. And for all I know, it could still very well be sold. But back to TPV. TPV offers some wonderful characteristics, not only for injection molding, but for extrusion. Because it's polypropylene based, it is not shear sensitive. Unlike PVC, which if you've spent any time injection molding PVC, you will know that anything from excessive temperature to gates and lands that are too small will actually cause the PVC to shear when it's being injected. You can smell it, you can see it in the part, it burns. It's a sensitive material. It's robust when it's cooled and formed into a part, but it's a little bit more sensitive when you're actually processing it. TPV gets away from that. It's a robust material to heat up, to plastify, to run through an extruder if you're injection molding it or putting it through a profile, whatever the case. It's a very easy, robust material to work with. And the EPDM rubber, the rubber phase, is equally as robust and gives the material some very unique characteristics that work very well for weather stripping. Compression set, for example. So if you have a weather stripping that has several flanges to close against a body shell or against a door, or sits against a window in the case of a beltline molding, these profiles, the flanges, the details, if you will, in the molding will retain their memory and come back to form good weather strip seals. So that sort of mimics a little bit of what PVC would do. And a TPE, it's not quite in the same ballpark as the TPV product. So that's something to keep in mind. But definitely the shear sensitivity. You can really shear this material. If you are at the limit of your screw and barrel capability, or maybe the shot size or the tool size in a platen, and you really have to get this material in under pressure, a TPV will take that abuse. Now, TPV is also really interesting because it can be alloyed with other material. So you can alloy it with urethane, for example, and that makes a compound that will have a very, very sticky, as urethane you might expect. It will have a sticky characteristic, and it makes an ideal overmold, second shot for something like a power tool handle. And I'm sure you've all seen power tools at your local home improvement center with soft touch handles. More than likely, that is a TPV alloyed with urethane. And when you do that, you don't have to worry so much about a mechanical engagement point in the first shot. Likely it's going to be a nylon. Urethane loves to bond with nylon. It's a great, great material for that. So that's something to keep in mind. A TPV compound also can take mineral fillers if you want to take some cost out of a compound. But remember, when you're taking cost out with filler, you're adding weight, you're increasing the specific gravity. So it's a question of pay me now or pay me later. You buy per pound, but you're selling parts that are cubic centimeters or cubic inches, if you wish, cubic centimeters in costing. So if you put a heavier material in, yes, you save on your material price per pound, but you're actually creating a more expensive finished part. I know, it doesn't intuitively make sense, but run the math. You'll see. You always, if you can, want to have a lower specific gravity material, and TPV is absolutely no exception in that respect. But adding a mineral does take cost out, and it can also impact some other physical property characteristics. Check the data sheets with your manufacturer. So I'll leave it there for now. If you have questions about TPV, I do sell TPV compounded in the United States, and I've had a lot of history selling TPV, including working on platforms that introduced TPV to the automotive market a quarter century ago, or maybe a little bit more now. It's where does the time go? So have a great Friday, a great weekend. Please come back next Friday for another tech tip, and we will see you there. Thanks. Take care. Bye for now.